Starting a business is a terrible way to make money. And I can basically say this after being in the space for now 6 years up to this point, making multiple seven figures in the space, e-commerce, info, agency space, all space, you name it. But now I think, okay, are you crazy? That's how everyone makes their money. But yeah, let me speak. So if I just like reflect on all my experiences, yes, business is the greatest way to become wealthy in the long run, but it's the absolute most terrible way to make money in the short term. And that's how I got into business back then. And it almost cost me everything leading up to that. And basically just like wasted 3 to 4 years just to realize that and basically was worse off after then I started till I then basically realized what I'm not going to tell you and then could make the pivot that actually got me to goal or got me to like a place where I have a successful agency, but like agency with a lot of team members who are all basically can make a living out of it and everything goes in the right direction. We're actually helping people. So if we start from the background, business is a mirror, not a money machine. So what does this mean? Most people just like start a business because they have like all these insecurities and that of themselves. So like they want status, they feel insecure, maybe you wanna get girls, maybe whatever. So you just like usually like a young man who just like hasn't figured out life for themselves and thinks like business is this one fits all solution. You just like slam on your life, you start business, you make money, and then everything else is going to resolve. And everything is just the business is just this one thing. If you get that right, it's just going to resolve all the other areas of your life like that. This isn't the case. So it's not a fix or money machine. It's like rather a mirror. So basically, once you start the business, you get a mirror in front of your face and you're going to make all the wrong decisions because you haven't got your character right. And if you're the founder, you are steering the ship. And how are you going to steer a ship if you haven't even figured out yourself? If you haven't figured out yourself, you can't lead anyone else. We also can't create value for other people. And that basically just like leads to this cash grab mentality. And then you are basically not creating value for other people, what business actually is. Business is nothing else than you providing a service or product or whatever that helps someone else solve a problem and they exchange money for it. So business money is the result of value creation and not like the entire purpose of business. But business people get this wrong and just like think, okay, how can I grab the money? How can I cut corners? Because they want to get the money as soon as possible. They want to grab it. And that's why they don't care about the customer. And I was the same back then. So I started into dropshipping with 18. We just like looked at AliExpress, what product can we take? Done the first product, made like 50K out of it, was completely shitty, but we made money. So it was not cool. Customers were all pissed with like, we don't care. And then we just like looked for the next product, and then we had one product eventually that we scaled to 7 figures, and another product we scaled to 7 figures. But these were shitty products. So basically we had like a lot of customer support, and eventually it got so bad that we just like kept scaling, making like 30, 40K a day. It just like all blew up at us. We had a company back then, we had employees, and just like all blew up in our face. And at the end, we just like lost all the money again. We just like kind of were a terrible place for it after like 3 to 4 years of like grinding. And we had like multiple attempts, but then we just like, well, then like what happened? And then we just like realized, oh, fuck, that's basically how this actually works. And then we basically had to go through all this and rebuilding from there and going in the right direction and building up the actual agency was then basically like starting from scratch, but like on the right ground because we then focused on actually providing value for the customer. And that it's basically what shifted to like having this traumatic experience back then. Most people still have to go through. And this brings us to the internal state is nothing else than a definition for your business model. Because if you come from internal state of not knowing this and just like don't having this experience, it's just like you don't care. It's just like want to fill that hole inside of yourself. You want to fill that void. Then it's just like you by default go into the wrong business model because there's so many gurus out there who shout from the rooftops, start AI dropshipping or start an AI agency or start some OnlyFans bullshit. And you, because you just like care about the money and just like think, okay, what can get me the money fastest? You just like fall for that stuff. And this basically like defines the business model. If you started from a right perspective and you're just looking, okay, where can I actually fill a gap in the market and where can I basically be valuable and solve like have a problem for yourself and solve for others. And that's what I see also what I had to experience for the last 6 years. There's people who start around at the same time with me who now like worth 100 times more because they've done it right up front because they actually started with that perspective and then they had one thing working with them which was compound. They were compounding year after year after year. While basically what we have been doing with the dropshipping stuff in the beginning, we just like had to start over and over and over and we were worse for it every single time because we just like had pissed customers left and right. And this was like a terrible experience and compound is where all the money is unlocked in business. So don't expect that like in the first 3 months, in the first 6 months, in the first 12 months, you're going to make a lot of money. This is all a lie because as a founder, you are in the stage, it's like you have to figure everything out. You have to figure out your customer avatar, you have to figure out your product, you have to get everything right. And you also can't scale aggressive because then you're going to just like piss everyone off. So just like expect that you're going to need to pour money into it because the resource needed to create something. So energy can't be created out of nothing. You have to actually pour something into it. And that's where also like most people fail, just like try to cut all these corners, just somehow squeeze money, and then it just like blows up all in their face. It just like comes down to the wrong mentality you have when you go into it. So if I would now like start a new business, I wouldn't even expect to make any money for myself in year one because that's not how it works. It's like you're going to make the big money afterwards, and that's also how everyone gets wealthy, but that's not how you start or how you should start. So what should you do instead? I was like, okay, yeah, but everyone tells me start a business. So how do I then make the money? It's like, might sound weird. And thought I would be like the last person who ever would recommend this to someone, but I just have to say it as it is. So you basically look at the industry and say, okay, in which direction do I want to go? And then you just like get a job. You just like get, but not in a job where you say, okay, you go in some factory and just like stand there all day doing stuff forever. That's not what I mean with job. With me, with getting job, I mean, you go into space you want to be in, let's say agency space, e-commerce space, and look at a startup that's really cool, has a great product and a great vision. You do everything you can to get in there. You sell yourself as good as you can. You get in there. You walk your ass off, and you basically like try everything to provide value to that company. And I'm just like now seeing this in our own company, in our own full stack agency, that we have a bunch of people. Doesn't mean like matter if it's like content or marketing space do this with me in the end, and they're just like profiting for it. They get great paychecks every single month. They don't have to make all the mistakes. They can just basically learn on my dollar because they already have all the lessons I now had to make. They don't have to make the fall into the pitfalls all themselves. And then afterwards, after you have done this like for 1, 2, 3 years, you're going to already have developed. You already have to overcome most of this insecurities you have in yourself. You now have money. You now have a strong circle of a strong network, and you basically you're not in this desperate position anymore that you need like money tomorrow. And then you can start a business from a general standpoint. And that's like then the lever you pull to make really great money or like a bigger money or like great wealth in the long run. You have all the experience, and then you can start, okay, I see this all in the industry, or I know basically how to do this better. I can now improve this. I know the customer. I can do this. And then that's where you become a founder with the right mentality. You know, okay, because you've seen everything all before. In the other business, you know, okay, for the first 12 months, I'm not going to make the most money, but I'm willing to invest because then I'm going to make the big money. And that's how how it works. And that's how you unlock all the compound over the long run. And I really wish I would have known this back then, but I didn't. Otherwise, I would already be way ahead because then I didn't have this frustrating experience of starting and failing with dropshipping. So I eventually pivoted into what we're doing right now. But instead, I could have gone to a business, way more chill experience. Basically, worked my way up there, got all the learnings without paying with it for founder blood. And then from there, basically, I could have started on something else and basically could have taken it from there. Because you really have to understand this. Business is a mirror, and everything you lack is going to be shown to you. Because the market is brutal. The market doesn't give any damn about you. So if you enter any marketplace, they don't care. They only care about themselves, as humans do. So all your flaws are just going to be exposed to you. They're going to be hammered in your face, and you're going to pay with it for your own dollar. And that's also like why 99.9% of businesses nowadays fail. They don't fail. They're basically just like they were already doomed to fail from the minute one they were founded because people started with the wrong mentality, with the wrong intentions, and they didn't know how the game works. And that's like that's all the difference. There are like a few people who slipped through. I would also call myself as someone who slipped through because I had all this experience and made all the mistakes. Now we survived this stuff with like all the chargebacks and stuff, and then we pivoted, and we had kind of luck that we found the right partner at the place who paid out the right retainer that we could recover that and basically take it from there. But most people just like fail there. The gigantic graveyard of people I've seen come and go. And also the biggest graveyard of this, like this info gurus you see who sell you these courses. I've seen so many come and go in the last 6 years. So you understand what I'm talking about. So it's time for you, if you're in this point where just like kill the founder pride, that's how I call it. I want to be a founder, I want to be an entrepreneur, but do you want to be successful in life? Do you want to get what you want, or do you just like want to call yourself a founder and sit somewhere, be miserable, be broke, hate your life for it, sacrifice everything for it, but then something to go to shit because you had a shitty product, you didn't care about the customer, and you're just like 2 years later and you're just like look in the mirror and like, what the fuck have I done? So you have to decide it for yourself, but I know basically I've given you a lesson. Best experience you can do is just like go to a startup, work yourself from there, and then start into a business with genuine, the right intentions. And then you're going to thank yourself later for it. And this could have saved me like 3 to 4 years. So hope this is helpful. Do with it whatever you wish.